is on your right. It's Esper mid-range and Sultai mid-range. They'll be given the green light, and away we will go.
So I'm not super into the Esper mid-range deck. I will say I think there's something to the blend of Thief of Sanity plus Lyra in the same deck, because one of those cards I think is extremely good against nearly everyone. Unfortunately, it's not the same one in both matchups. But people who are bad against Thief of Sanity are, good against Lyra and vice versa. So having both of those cards in the same deck, good chance you just kind of randomly haymaker someone.
A Merfolk Branchwalker is where Abe started things off. He's just got a 2-1 at this stage. And for Wyatt, he'll play a Hero of Precinct 1. Llanowar Elves will draw here for Abe Corrigan. And both players with some good 2-drops. I'd say Darby's is the better of the two, but it's no longer alive. As Cast Down will take care of that. Llanowar Elves and an attack here for 2. Darby's down to 18. We head back over to Wyatt now. We'll see if there is a Thief of Sanity to be played here. It looks like you did pick up a copy of Dovin. A card we don't see a ton of, but perhaps it will join the fray here at some stage. That's a Thought Eraser. And the hand here for Abe Corrigan. Couple of lands, Fine Finality, and the very powerful Vivian Reed. Reed will bite the dust.
Gotta take the Vivian Reed. It's not like Darby's deck is the best against Fine Finality, but Vivian Reed coming off next turn, gotta do something about that.
You see that Abe wants to take a look at the Basilica. Make sure he knows exactly what that does, as Darby does then follow things up with a Drowned Catacombs before passing the turn back. See how Corrigan wants to take his turn. He'll attack here for 3. Darby's going to fall down to 15. Breeding Pool is going to enter the battlefield untapped.
Bit of a giveaway there that the draw step must have been Vraska's Contempt.
I think you're right.
That's why Corrigan was thinking so long. Do I attack with the elves and play the land tapped? All of it is a giveaway of information. You could just play the dual land tapped, but then if Darby plays something that justifies using the Vraska's Contempt, you're really inefficient with your mana.
It'll be a Godless Shrine, and now there is the Basilica. Overgrown Tomb will be discarded. Darby will gain a little bit of life. And now there is the Vraska's Contempt that I think everybody knew Abe Corrigan had. So now we head back over to Abe. He's drawing a copy of Woodland Cemetery. Here come the beatdowns. Darby down to 13. Fine Finality and a Woodland Cemetery in hand. We'll head back over to Wyatt Darby. You notice that Abe is holding that land. Might not want to discard it to some sort of effect.
I was really not a huge fan of using the Vraska's Contempt. There's just no way this like motley crew of beatdowns holds up and gets you across the finish line. Rather just save it for something better, especially with Fine Finality in your hand. You're going to clean up that 3-4 somewhere in the near future.
Looks like it'll be a hostage taker, perhaps taking the Llanowar Elves and then just simply recasting it. Yeah. Not a bad little exchange there. We head back over to Corrigan, who's drawing a copy of Wildgrowth Walker. The 1/3 will enter the battlefield. And now he'll play the land. Be bad news if it's forced to be discarded. So we head back over to Wyatt Darby with his Esper mid-range deck that he's tested so much on Magic Arena on stream. There's Dovin. He's made a lot of changes. Kind of started with a more controlling build. Now he's a lot more mid-rangey. And Dovin Grand Arbiter is the card in question at this stage. There you do see the 3-mana Planeswalker. +1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on Dovin Grand Arbiter. -1, you can create a Thopter. And of course you do gain a life. And it looks like the mode that Darby's going to select. And then that -7, you look at the top 10 cards of your library, put 3 of them in your hand. The rest go on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it's like a super dig through time from the legendary Planeswalker.
Ancestral Memories?
That sounds right. Can't say for sure, but that sounds right.
There's an enchantment from Weatherlight, Ancestral Knowledge, that I think lets you look at 10.
Okay. You can just say Ancestral something all the time.
But literally the number 10 is the one involved.
I see.
Cumulative upkeep. I'm having this sort of vague...
It's a picture of a book. It's blue.
I believe it's a picture of... It's a woman up at a podium, like a sort of a podium or altar-looking thing, thumbing through a book.
Ah, yes.
If my memory serves. but I don't know. Don't know for sure.
Discovery played there by Wyatt Darby. Deputy of Detention placed into the graveyard with the Surveil 2. The follow-up. Looks like it's going to be a Mortify. And it will be. Looks like Dovin will plus. Abe wants to take a look at it again. It's better than people think. It's just a little obscure, that's all.
Yeah, Darby's deck is pretty good at gumming up the works here, and then the plus on Dovin becomes really good. Dovin's also kind of conducive because you can sort of toggle the loyalty way up. That you can get up to 8 minus and keep your Dovin and try to reset. Because it's not like going ultimate with Dovin is game over. I mean, it's a huge advantage, but it's not like you necessarily win the game. It's a Planeswalker that's kind of conducive to wanting a second or even third run of it.
Corrigan was maybe trying to set up a finality, but now he's got to go to the find half, so he's going to get 2 creatures out of the graveyard. Wild Growth Walker and Merfolk Branchwalker. They, of course, team up nicely. There's step 1. Here comes step 2. Trigger the Explore. Let's see what we find here. Hydroid Crassus is a really good card to have on top of the deck. As Corrigan gains a little bit of life, and we're going to work ourselves pretty deep into the mid-game here.
Yeah, can't do any better in that spot for Corrigan.
Corrigan going to keep reading Dovin. Make sure he knows exactly how that Planeswalker works. Again, it is a little bit obscure. Certainly powerful, as most Planeswalkers are. But just trying to figure out exactly how it works so you can play accordingly. Because don't forget, it is release weekend here for Ravnica Allegiance. Players had to have the opportunity to play against these cards much. Wouldn't want to make a mistake, especially sitting at 11-2 and playing for top 8. Looks like a Deputy of Detention is going to come down and take care of Wild Growth Walker. The follow-up is another Deputy of Detention going to come down and take care of the Merfolk Branchwalker plus the Dovin. Give the beatdowns. Dovin will trigger 2 more times. Up to 7 loyalty is the Planeswalker. We might see that ultimate here from the Planeswalker in just a moment, especially when you know that your opponent is drawing Hydroid Crassus. So you're somewhat clear for takeoff.
The question I have is Darby going to just, cash in for 3 cards? Pretty attractive to do when you're empty-handed, or do you try to plus again to keep the Dovin around for a second wave?
There's the Hydroid Crassus. 2 cards coming. Gain a little bit of life. Assassin's Trophy among the cards that have been drawn, and we're going to head back over to Darby. Darby will draw, and I had a feeling he might cash it in, so he's going to take a look at the top 10 and get to take 3 cards with him. And you have to imagine this is pretty difficult to beat. Dovin is 1. Well, nothing too crazy there, truth be told.
Is there 8 lands in there?
Looked like at least 7. Discovery Dispersal, which isn't bad right now. Hero Precinct 1, and then another Dovin, I believe.
Again, 11:30 Modern Challenge players. Your next round pairings are now being posted.
So the Pro Tour Dominaria champion is going to take a long look at this one before making his selection. Consult the hand as well. And there we go.
Nathan Spellman.
All set there.
Again, we're looking for Nathan Spellman. Please report to the stage.
That is a Hero of Precinct 1. This is a Hero of Precinct 1. And now this is a Thought Eraser. See what you're working with. 2 triggers. Casting is all well and good here. 2 triggers from the heroes. Select a card. It's between Trophy and Wild Growth Walker.
Imagine you want the trophy here.
That's what I'm leaning towards as well here, partner. And there goes the trophy. Surveil 1, Thief of Sanity on top. That'll go to the graveyard. Darby feeling as though he can do better than that right now and simply pass the turn back as that Hydroid Crassus is blocking the road. That's a Wild Growth Walker. Is there a follow-up here for Abe Corrigan? Just an Overgrown Tomb tap, pass the turn back. Let's go back over to Wyatt Darby. Can he find a way to clear the road and get this stinking Hydroid Crassus out of the way? Looks like the answer is yes. It's a Mortify. 2 triggers, 2 more humans from Hero of Precinct 1. Follow-up. Dovin. Hello, 2 more triggers. Got a
And you
little
can go
something
straight-
cooking now.
You can go straight to the plus here,
Oh, yeah.
and then now just be like ultimating every other turn.
Yeah, so he is going to go straight to the plus, and it's time to get in there. All the knuckleheads. Wild Growth Walker is going to block a hero precinct. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of damage. Corrigan get down to 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 triggers on Dovin. Let's make it 7, actually. Pardon me.
Still enough to ultimate next turn and keep the Dovin around.
Absolutely. Up to 11 counters. Corrigan will draw and concede this here game. So, Wyatt Darby's going to win game number 1 here over Abe Corrigan. Esper midrange. Up a game here over Sultai midrange as the Pro Tour Dominaria champion takes the lead over the SCG Columbus champion earlier this year in Abe Corrigan. However, we're going to start with our SCG Columbus champion in Abe on the right with the sideboard. It'll be 4 Duress, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Negate, 2 Thrashing Brontodon, a Biogenic Ooze and Assassin's Trophy, a Cast Down, a Moment of Craving, and a Hostage Taker. What do we like here, partner, and why?
Well, I like the Hostage Taker, the Cast Down, as answers to some of Darby's more problematic plays. I think the Biogenic Ooze, too. Game can get a little bit gummed down. Darby isn't flush with a ton of removal, so that seems like a good one to add as well.
For Wyatt Darby's side, 3 Negate, 2 Duress, 2 Vraska's Contempt, 2 Consecrate Consume, 2 Karn Scion of Urza, an Eldritch Reborn, a Cast Down, a Moment of Craving, and a Disdainful Stroke.
Well, if Darby thinks that he can gum up the works in this kind of matchup, which looked to be the case in the first game, I really like the Eldritch Reborn and the 2 copies of Karn Scion of Urza, along with the 2 Vraska's Contempts. I think that's a really good mixture of cards to sort of leverage. If the game is kind of ground down to a halt, to leverage a pretty major advantage, and also just have a lot more card advantage and pinpoint removal for Corrigan's more powerful plays.
Well, those are the options there for both players. Game number 2 should probably be another long affair in these mid-range mirrors as these players throw haymakers back and forth, see if Abe can tie things up against Wyatt. And as those players work on that sideboarding, we do want to talk about the StarCityGames.com YouTube page where you can watch replays of this tournament and a whole bunch more.
Yeah, you can subscribe today over at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Ton of archives up there, including Versus Live, Commander Versus, Flashback, Best of the SCG Tour, and much more. Again, you can subscribe today over at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Become one of, how many are we at now?
Oh boy, I've lost count. At least we're over 150,000.
Literally hundreds of subscribers. Join today.
Speaking of hundreds of subscribers, we're over 400 subscribers on our Twitch page now.
What does that mean in real terms?
What?
Does that mean does that mean they're paying us?
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Welcome, subscribers. Thanks for joining the feature match area.
you wanna read
You
this one?
decide the
Yep, there you
quarterfinals.
go.
We go off the air at after round 15 for a little bit of a break. There's a vote where you get to decide the quarterfinals. Custom emoticons and badges, only $4.99 a month, or it gets bundled. Is it still bundled into the Amazon Prime subscription? Great. Over at twitch.tv/SCG Tour, a URL you are already aware of if you are watching the broadcast right now.
That's right. That's right.
Who's got some more ad copy for me?
That's right. Give him some more. Get us somewhere. We got another ad? Another ad we can do? You know what? Let's fire another one up. A newsletter. Let's do that.
Yeah, newsletter. Yeah.
We just got 5 subscribers right now.
Yo, awesome.
that.
Welcome, man.
Let's see if we can get 5 newsletter subscribers. Fire that bad boy up.
Well, that's less interesting because it's $0.
Make it interesting.
It's indirectly monetized.
Make it interesting. Let's go.
Newsletter comes out once a week, and you can sign up for free over at go.starcitygames.com/newsletter. It's your source for Magic Gathering news with highlights from some of Star City Games' best articles, upcoming SCG Tour dates and locations. You can find invitational qualifiers and game nights closest to you. And best of all, it is free to sign up over at go.starcitygames.com/newsletter.
Man, he's on fire. He's on fire. You see who's in that newsletter ad? Brian Gottlieb. He's here.
Yeah.
He's here this weekend.
Just so synergistic.
Yeah, it's just coming and going.
Coming and going.
Can't stop me.
Yeah.
I just bet we sold out. Let's do one of these.
Yeah, versus live
Yep.
every Tuesday
Yep.
and Thursday, 1 p.m. East Coast time over at twitch.tv/SCG Tour. Is it SCG Tour?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
it's still over there?
Yeah, it's-
All right, I thought
that's
that might have
where
been a
we
mistake.
are
No,
right
I
now.
understand, but
Yeah.
it's just a little. I didn't know if there was a different channel for
Oh,
it or anything like that.
no.
Some of Star City Games' most popular personalities battling matches of standard, modern, and much more live. Again, check it out Tuesday and Thursday. You just need a second monitor at work. You make it you have your work popped up, and then you have that underneath of it. Your boss walks by, you minimize the work, go watch Ross Miriam,
And Todd, just battling.
Todd
Yeah,
Anderson
just battling
battle
it out,
every
yeah.
Tuesday, Thursday, 1 o'clock East Coast time over at twitch.tv/SCG Tour.
Man, that's 4 things for people to do. 4 different things. They can subscribe to 3 different things, and then watch the SCG Tour versus live and subscribe there.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Jeez.
that's a lot.
Coming and going.
That's a lot. Thought Eraser here from Abe. Let's see what.
Yeesh.
Excuse me, from Wyatt. Abe's hand is lands, fine finality, and a big dinosaur. So Wyatt's going to write down the contents of the hand. 2 Woodland Cemeteries, a Breeding Pool, Carnage Tyrant, Fine Finality. On the battlefield here for Abe is a Watery Grave, a Breeding Pool, and a Llanowar Elves. And we'll see what card Wyatt wants to select here. Thought Eraser actually one of my favorite cards right now in Standard Magic because I was a big fan of Castigate back in the day. This is
Yeah.
somewhat similar.
Well, it's also very satisfying to surveil after taking a look at your opponent's hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really, the combination of the things going on is just a very fun thing to do.
Daylight Ranger is a nice top of deck here for Abe. He's going to put Assassin's Trophy in the bin. He's taking a look at Moment of Craving. He might want to keep that one, as his hand appears to be a little soft right now to
Thief of Sanity.
Thief of Sanity. Yeah.
Yep.
Just saying. Yep. I like this a pretty decent amount. Because even though he doesn't have anything to kill with Moment of Craving right now, it does cover you against a card that you would be pretty weak to otherwise.
Well, the other side of it, my instinct was to bottom it. I don't know if I want to hedge too much against that one play when you have a clear path to Carnage Tyrant. Like, how much do you really care about Thief of Sanity? I would rather kind of dig for something proactive to do in the next turn or make sure the mana's rolled up for Carnage Tyrant rather than protect myself from a theoretical Thief of Sanity.
We got a Deputy. Going to start to cut the mana a little bit here as Wyatt.
Yeah, now this is horrible. This is so bad now.
There's a Breeding Pool that enters the battlefield tap.
What are you gonna do?
Wyatt, yeah. Win some, lose some. Wyatt was looking for land number 4. I do not think he found it. He's got a lot of 4-drops in his hand at the moment. So let's see what the play is going to be here. Looks like it's going to be Thought Eraser again. I think Carnage Tyrant might have to leave.
Yeah,
With Moment of Craving in hand.
Seems likely. I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to cut him off of, enough draw steps there to ignore the Carnage Tyrant. At that point, you just have to take it.
Big draw step here for Abe. A card like Vivian Reed to be very good. Instead, the draw was a Forest. Here's an attack for 4. Darby's down to 8. We'll head back over to Darby, who's looking for land number 4. He'll draw a card. He found it in Watery Grave. Likely going to have to pay some life to have that one enter the battlefield untapped. We will see. First things first is the attack. Now, does Darby want to pay the life to have it enter the battlefield untapped? Looks like he does. He'll fall down to 6 and then up to 9 as he'll make Abe discard. We're going to head back over to Abe now. He picked up a copy of Merfolk Branchwalker. Triggered the Explorer. Let's take a look. Llanowar Elves, no thank you. 3-2 Branchwalker. In for 4. Don't forget that Abe has a Moment of Craving in hand, and Darby knows that, so this is a pretty safe attack.
Yeah, Darby has negate in hand, so he may want to take the hit here and be able to negate the following turn. I was going to say, it's going to happen at some point regardless, so why not block now? But it would make sense here if Darby was trying to set up a block with negate back up.
Darby actually picked up a copy of Vraska's Contempt. How about another one of these? Make you discard the Moment of Craving. You probably got to cast it to get your 2 life, and that's exactly what will happen. Cast it on the active one that could do the attacking. This 4-mana 3/4 that gains 3 life and makes you discard, I think a card that was very quickly overlooked, but this is a pretty powerful card.
Yeah, I think there might have been some amount of stigma associated with that cycle because all of them were really powerful in draft, but not necessarily rated for constructed. This one has so much power loaded into the enters the battlefield trigger. It doesn't even matter if it dies. It's sized well enough to brawl. 4 toughness is kind of a magic number against the red decks, to say nothing of gaining 3 life and making them discard a card. So a lot of the cycle seemed like, powerful in draft, innocuous for constructed, unlikely to show up. This one might be the exception.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some of them show up.
Crackle and Drake.
Golgari Fine Broker.
A little bit of that, too.
A little bit of that. Not a ton. But the Basilica Bellhaunt has been pretty impressive in watching Wyatt Darby play. And now here's the Thief of Sanity. Hydroid Crassus is timely here for Abe. But I've been impressed by the Bellhaunt. No questions. There's a 3/3 Crassus. Draw a card, gain a life. J-Light Ranger going to come across here for 4. They'll trade. We'll head back over to Darby. Darby will draw. Has Cast Down and Vraska's Contempt in hand. He's going to start by tapping some mana, I think, for a Cast Down. Goodbye, Flyer. In comes the Thief. Trigger. Take a look at a couple of cards. Corrigan's got a lot of life to work with, but Darby's the one that has all the cards, and he's getting more of them. If you see Vivian Reed among the cards that he can select, there's also an Assassin's Trophy and a J-Light Ranger. J-Light Ranger it'll be. Going to put the other ones away, pass the turn back. We'll go back over to Abe Corrigan now, who's going to need a string of draw steps to get back into this match. Fine Finality is in hand right now, though, folks. He did find one of those. It looks like he picked up a copy of Merfolk Branchwalker or J-Light Ranger, actually leaning towards the Branchwalker there in his hand that he's shuffling between. He'll start by attacking with the Branchwalker. Darby's going to take the 3 and fall down to 5. Doesn't want to block with the Deputy of Detention.
You can see there, Darby's still clutching that negate, aware that the biggest top decks here from Corrigan in this spot involve Vivian Reed and Fine Finality.
Cast Down would be the draw step. Gonna leave it on top. Branchwalker's a 3/2. Follow-up. Looks like it's gonna be Fine Finality. We'll do the find half here. We'll let Abe announce his targets, and then Wyatt will decide if he would like to use that negate.
Had to believe it's going to be negated. Darby missing land drops here, a little bottlenecked on mana, and this seems like a threatening enough find. Yeah,
we'll get negated. Yep. Darby will untap. He's picked up another Deputy. That could clean out both of those Merfolk Branchwalkers, but you also know your opponent has a Cast Down on top of the deck that you will be taking away from them now, along with Ravenous Chupacabra and a Vraska's Contempt. Well, those are the cards that Thief of Sanity is taking a look at. It'll be Cast Down. The rest will go to the graveyard. Will we go to the Deputy or something else? Looks like he's going to leave up negate again as we head back over to Abe Corrigan. Again, Abe, part of the winning team for SCG Columbus earlier this year. This is a Cast Down. Darby going to fall down to 2, using his life total as a resource. We'll get that Cast Down in the graveyard here soon enough. It actually belongs to Abe, so that's where it will be going. Corrigan just deciding if he wants to play the land in his hand or not. And it looks like he'll play the Drowned Catacombs because he doesn't want to discard it to one of those Bellhaunts. So we are going to go back over to Wyatt Darby now. Wyatt, again, he's the player that has all the cards in hand, multiple copies of Vraska's Contempt.
So he has fallen down to 2 here, so needs to be careful. Everything's going to be lethal forever.
Carnage Tyrant, Hostage Taker. Looks like a Branchwalker, the 3 cards that Wyatt Darby's taking a look at right now.
I sort of want to get some Chief Goofs that can help me draw some lands here and allow me to block in the face of a removal spell off the top.
Well, I think that's part of the reason that Darby selected J-Light Ranger off of the first Thief. I think he's got the same thought process as you, is I could use some lands here. It wouldn't be too bad. Looks like he just found a couple. It's weird. It's like this guy knows how to play Magic since he won a Pro Tour.
He's been really doing a good job of bend, don't break in this game.
Absolutely. Not his first rodeo, I would say, as Darby will untap and draw a copy of Discovery Dispersal. Here come the Knuckleheads in Thief of Sanity and J-Light Ranger.
It's a really confident attack with the J-Light Ranger there. If you're willing to send that in at 2, with the ability to trade off with the Branch Walker coming back. Got to feel really good about your position to be making that attack here.
And I think he does. I think he's feeling pretty good about things. Negates a lot of protection in this instance. That'll be an isolated Chapel. And I'm going to pass that turn back. Will Darby with all that mana available. Corrigan draws another land. He knows he's beat. He will concede the game. Wyatt Darby going to win this game and match here over Abe Corrigan. 2-0. Esper midrange takes care of Sultai midrange. And for Wyatt Darby, your Pro Tour Dominaria champion, he's 12-2. He should be able to safely draw in, and he should be a member of our top